fly. I wanna do more than lay on my back and look at the sky. I wanna fly. But every time I try, I fall. I wanna fly, 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 fly.
Woke up this morning, poetry on my mind.
Woke up this morning, poetry on my mind.
Words from my soul on these notebook lines.
Words from my soul on these notebook lines.
No money for food and no money for gas.
No money for food and no money for gas.
All I got is my pen and my pad.
All I got is my pen and my pad.
Y'all sound like the Mississippi Mass Choir. Y'all give it up for yourselves. Give it up for yourselves. Yes.
Hello, I am Kennedy Hart, and I will be reciting Bleeding Heart by Carmen Jamina Smith. My heart is bleeding. It bleeds upwards and fills my mouth up with salt. It bleeds because of a city in ruins. The chair is still warm from my sister's body. Because it is all irreproducible. It bleeds because of baby bear not finding mama bear, and it bleeds to the tips of my fingers like I've painted my nails crimson. Sometimes it bleeds so much I am a raisin. Bleeds until I'm a quivering, ragged clot. Bleeds at the ending with the heroine in her sunken cancer eyes. Bleeds with the plaintive flute over smoke-choked killing fields. I'm bleeding a river of blood right now, and it's wearing a covert in me for the blood. I bleed for the tiny babies in the IED blown leg. I bleed because I am made this way, all filled up with blood. My sloppy heart a sponge to fill into any circumstance. Because it is mine, it will always bleed. My heart bled today. It bled onto the streets and the steps of City Hall, bled in the pizza parlor with the useless jukebox. I have so much blood to give inside and outside of any milieu. I'll bleed so much, you'll be bleeding. I'll be bleeding, in and out, like it's breathing or kissing, because it's righteous and terrible in red.
Hello, my name is Hannah Valero. Today I'll be reciting The Wish by Young Lady by Letitia Poland. I ask not wit, nor beauty do I crave, nor wealth, nor pompous titles wish to have. But since 'tis doomed through all degrees of life, whether a daughter, sister, or a wife, that females should the stronger males obey, and yield implicit to their lordly sway. Since this, I say, is every woman's fate, give me a mind to suit my slavish state. Thank you.
My name is TYNESHIA SWANIGAN, and I will be reading to you The Art Room by Shara McKinnli. For my sisters, Because we did not have threads of turquoise, silver, and gold, we could not sew a sun nor a sky. And our hands became balls of fire, and our arms spread open like wings. Because we had no color for our creatures, we no toads, forest, or morning glass slates of paper. We squatted and sprang, squatted and sprang. 4 young girls, plats heavy on our backs. Our feet were beating drums, drawing rhythms on the floor. Our mouths became woodwinds, and our tongues touched teeth and were reeds.
Hello, my name is Cameron Keenum. I'm going to be reciting the poem Stopping by the Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near. Between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds, the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods, lovely dark indeed. I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep. And miles to go before I sleep.
My name is Daphne Dalrymple, and I will be reciting the poem A Poison Tree by William Blake. I was angry with my friend. I told my wrath did end. I was angry with my foe. I told it not. My wrath did grow. And I watered it in fears, night and morning with my tears. And I sunned it with smiles, with soft, deceitful wiles. And it grew both day and night, till it bore an apple bright. And my foe beheld it shine, and he knew that it was mine, and into my garden stole, when the night had veiled the whole. In the morning glad I see my foe outstretched beneath the tree. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Laszlo, and I'll be reciting for you Light Shining Out of Darkness by William Cooper. God moves in a mysterious way, his wonders to perform. He plants his footsteps in the sea and rides upon the storm. Deep and unfathomable minds of never-failing skill, he treasures up his bright designs and works his sovereign will. Ye fearful saints, fresh courage take. The clouds ye so much dread are big with mercy, and shall break in blessings on your head. Judge not the Lord by feeble sense, but trust him for his grace. Behind a frowning providence, he hides a smiling face. His purposes will ripen fast, unfolding every hour. The bud may have a bitter taste, but sweet will be the flower. Blind unbelief is sure to err and scan his work in vain. God is his own interpreter, and he will make it plain.
Hello everyone, my name is Paige Mitchell, and I will be reciting Black History Month by Nikki Giovanni. If Black History Month is not viable, then wind does not carry the seeds and drop them on fertile ground. Rain does not dampen the land and encourage the seeds to root. Sun does not warm the earth and kiss the seedlings and tell them plain, you're as good as anybody else. You've got a place here too. Thank you.
Hi, I'm KIANA Cooley and HAYNES. Okay. And I'm gonna perform I Too by Langston Hughes. I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes. But I laugh and eat well, grow strong. Tomorrow, I will be at the table when company comes. Nobody will dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I, too, am America. Thank you. My name is Jaden and I'll be performing There Are Birds Here by Jamal May for Detroit. There are birds here. So many birds here is what I was trying to say when they said those birds were metaphors for what is trapped between buildings and buildings. No, the birds are here to root around for bread. The girls' hands tear and toss like confetti. No, I don't mean the bread is torn like cotton. I said confetti. And no, not the confetti a tank can make of a building. I mean the confetti a boy can't stop smiling about. And no, his smile isn't much like a skeleton at all. And no, his neighborhood is not like a war zone. I am trying to say his neighborhood is as tattered and feathered as anything else. As shadow pierced by sun and light-hearted by shadow dance, as anything else. But they won't stop saying how lovely the ruins, how ruined the lovely children must be in that birdless city.
Hi, my name is McKinnli Jackson, and I will be reciting the poem by Nikki Giovanni, The Song of the Feet. It is appropriate that I sing the song of the feet. The weight of the body and what the body chooses to bear fall on me. I trampled the American wilderness, forged frontier trails, outran the mob in Tulsa, got caught in Philadelphia, and I'm still unreparated. I soldiered on in Korea, jungled through Vietnam, sweated out Desert Storm, caved my way through Afghanistan, tunneled the World Trade Center. And on the worst day of my life, walked behind JFK, shouldered MLK, stood embracing Sister Betty. I wiggle my toes in the sands of time, trusting the touch that controls my motion, basking in the warmth days ends offers with warm, salty water. It is appropriate I sing the praise of the feet. I am a Black woman.
Hello, my name is HAYLEE Brooks, and today I will be reciting Dead Butterfly by Ellen Bass. For months, my daughter carried a dead monarch in a quart mason jar. She took it to school in her backpack, to her only friend's house, at the dinner table, and sat like a guest alongside the pot roast. She took it to bed, propped by her pillow.
Was it the year her brother was born? Was this her own too fragile baby that had lived so briefly in its glass world? Or the year she refused to go to her father's house? Was this the holding her breath girl she became there? This plump child in her rolled down socks I sometimes wanted to haul back inside me and carry safe again. What was her fierce commitment? I never understood. We just lived with the dead winged thing as part of her, as part of us, weightless in its heavy jar. Thank you.
I am Lily Phillips, and I will be reciting The Conqueror Worm by Edgar Allan Poe. Lo, 'tis a gala night within the lonesome latter years, an angel throng, bewinged, bedight in veils and drowned in tears, sit in a theater to see a play of hopes and fears, while the orchestra breathes fitfully the music of the spheres. Mimes in the form of God on high mutter and mumble low, and hither and thither fly mere puppets they who come and go at the bidding of vast formless things that shift the scenery to and fro, while flapping from out their condor wings in visible woe. That motley drama, oh be sure it shall not be forgot, with its phantom chased forevermore by a crowd that sees it not, through a circle that ever returneth in to the self-same spot, and much of madness and more of sin and horror the soul of the plot. But see, amid the mimic root, a crawling shape intrude, a blood-red thing that writhes from out the scenic solitude. It writhes with mortal pangs, the mimes become its food, and seraphs sob at vermin fangs and human gore imbued. Out are the lights, out all, and over each quivering form, the curtain, a funeral pall, comes down with the rush of a storm, while the angels, all pallid and wan, uprising, availing, affirm that the play is the tragedy, man, and its hero, the conqueror worm.
Hello, my name is Tyra J. Matthews, and I will be reciting Caged Bird by Maya Angelou. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and flows downstream to the current ends and dips his wing in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped, his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. For a caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on a distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. The bird thinks of another breeze, and trade winds soft through the sighing trees, and fat worms waiting on dawn bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. But the bird stands on a grave of dreams, and his nightmare and his shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped, his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. But the caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown belonged for still. And his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. Thank you.
My name is Jonah Windel. I will be reciting Numbers by Mary Cornish. I like the generosity of numbers. The way, for example, they are willing to count anything or anyone. 2 pickles, 1 door to the room, 8 dancers dressed as swans. I like the domesticity of addition. Add 2 cups of milk and stir. The sense of plenty. 6 plums on the ground, 3 more falling from the tree. And multiplication school of fish times fish, whose silver bodies breathe beneath the shadow of a boat. Even subtraction is never loss, just addition somewhere else. 5 sparrows take away 2, the 2 in someone else's garden now. There's an amplitude to long division as it opens Chinese takeout, box by paper box, inside every folded cookie, a new fortune. And I never fail to be surprised by the gift of an odd remainder, footloose at the end. 47 divided by 11 equals 4, with 3 remaining. 3 boys beyond their mother's call, 2 Italians off to the sea, 1 sock that isn't anywhere you look. Thank you.
My name is Daevion Jones, and I present to you 4 Glimpses of Night by Frank Marshall Davis. 1. Eagerly, like a woman hurrying to her lover, night comes to the room of the world and lies yielding and content against the cool, round face of the moon. 2. Night is a curious child, wandering between earth and sky, creeping in windows and doors, daubing the entire neighborhood with purple paint. Day is an apologetic mother, cloth in hand, following after. 3. Peddling from door to door, night sells black bags of peppermint stars, heaping cones of vanilla moon until its wares are gone, then shuffles homeward, jingling the gray coins of daybreak. 4. Night's brittle song, sliver thin, shatters into a billion fragments of quiet shadows at the blaring jazz of a morning sun.
My name is Lia Lawson, and I will be reciting A Blind Fisherman by Stanley Moss. I teach my friend, a fisherman gone blind, to cast true left, right, or center, and how far between lily pads and the fallen cedar. Darkness is precious. How long will darkness last? Our bait, worms, have no professors. They live in darkness, can be taught fear of light. Cut into 3s, even 6s, they live separate lives, recoil from light. He tells me I am seldom blind when I dream morning is anthracite. I play blind man's bluff. I cannot find myself, my shoe, the sink, tell time. But that spilled milk and ink, the lost and found I cannot find. I can tell the difference between a mollusk and a whelk, a grieving lyre and a lemon rind. Laughing, he says, I still hope the worm will turn pink, lank, and warm, dined out on apples of good fortune. Books have a faintly legible smell. Divorced from the sun, I am a kind of bachelor, henpecked by the night. Sometimes I use my darkness well in the overcast and sunlight of my mind. I can still wink, sing. My eyes are songs. Darkness is precious. How long will darkness last? He could not fish. He could not walk. He fell in his own feces. He wept. He died where he fell. The power of beauty to right all wrongs is hard for me to sell.
Hello, I am Kennedy Hart, and I will be reciting April Midnight by Arthur Simmons. Side by side, through the streets at midnight, roaming together, through the tumultuous night of London, in the miraculous April weather, roaming together under the gaslight, day's work over. How the spring calls to us here in the city, calls to the heart from the heart of a lover. Cool to the wind blows, fresh in our faces, cleansing, entrancing. You, the dancer, and I, watching you dance. Good it is to be here together. Good to be roaming. Even in London, even at midnight. Lovers like in a lover's gloaming. You, the dancer, and I, the dreamer. Children together. Wandering lost in the streets of London. In the miraculous April weather.
Okay. Hello, my name is Hannah Valero, and I will be reciting A Song in the Front Yard by Gwendolyn Brooks. I've stayed in the front yard all my life. I want a peek at the back, where it's rough and untended and hungry weed grows. The girl gets sick of a rose. I want to go in the backyard now, and maybe down the alley, to where the charity children play. I want a good time today. They do some wonderful things. They have some wonderful fun. My mother sneers, but I say it's fine, how they don't have to go in at her 9:15. My mother, she tells me that Johnny May will grow up to be a bad woman, that George will be taken to jail soon or late on account of last winter he sold our back gate. But I say it's fine. Honest, I do. And I like to be a bad woman too, and wear the brave stockings of night black lace and strut down the streets with paint on my face.
Hello, my name is TYNESHIA SWANIGAN, and I will be reciting to you Life and a Love by Robert Browning. Escape me? Never, beloved, while I am I and you are you, so long as the world contains us both, me, the loving, and you, the loath, while one eludes, must the other pursue. My life is a fault at last, I fear. It seems too much like a fate, indeed. Though I do my best, shall I scarce succeed. But what if I fail of my purpose here? It is to keep the nerves at a strain, to dry one's eyes and laugh at a fall, and baffled get up and begin again. So the chase takes up one's life, that's all. Wow, look, but once from your furthest bound, at me so deep in the dust and dark, no sooner the old hope goes to the ground than a new one, straight to the self-same mark. I shape me ever removed. Thank you.
Hello, my name is KIANA. I'm going to be reciting the poem, Acquainted with the Night by Robert Frost. Here we go. I've been one acquainted with the night. I've walked out in rain and back in rain. I've outwalked the furthest city light. I've looked down the saddest city lane. I drop my eyes, unwilling to explain. I have stood still and stopped the sound of feet, when, far away, an interrupted cry came over houses from another street. But not to call me back, or say goodbye. And further still, at an unearthly height, when the luminary clock against the sky proclaimed the time was neither wrong nor right. I have been one acquainted with the night.
Hello, my name is Daphne DALRYMPLE, and I will be reciting the poem for Haruko by June Jordan. I never thought I'd keep a record of my pain or happiness. Like candles lighting the entire soft lace of the air. Around the full length of your hair. A shower organized by God. In brown and auburn. Undulations luminous like particles of flame. But now I do retrieve an afternoon of apricots and water interspersed with cigarettes and sand and rocks we walked across. How easily you held my hand beside the low tide of the world. Now I do retrieve an evening of retreat, an evening, a bridge I left behind, where all the solid heat of lust and tender trembling lay as cruel and as kind as passion spins its infinite tergiversations in between the bitter and the sweet. Alone and longing for you. Now I do. Thank you.
My name is Stephanie Laszlo, and today I'll be reciting for you Amor Mundi by Christina Rossetti. Oh, where are you going with your love locks flowing, on the west wind blowing along this valley track? The downhill path is easy. Come with me, and it please you. We shall escape the uphill by never turning back. So they two went together in glowing August weather. The honey-breathing heather lay to their left and right. And dear she was a dote on. Her swift feet seemed to float in the air like soft twin pigeons too sportive to alight. Oh, what is that in heaven, where gray cloud flakes are seven, where blackest clouds hang riven, just at the rainy skirt? Oh, that's the meteor sent us, a message, dumb, pretentious, an undeciphered, solemn signal of help or hurt. What is that glides quickly, where velvet flowers grow thickly? Their scent comes rich and sickly, a scaled and hooded worm. Oh, what's that in the hollow? So pale I quake to follow. Oh, that's a thin dead body, which awaits the eternal term. Turn again, O my sweetest, turn again, false and fleetest. This beaten way thou beatest thy fear is hell's own track. Nay, too steep for hill mounting. Nay, too late for cost counting. This downhill path is easy, but there is no turning back.
All right, I'm Paige Mitchell, and this is Ode by Arthur O'Shaughnessy. We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams, wandering by lone sea breakers and sitting by desolate streams, world losers and world forsakers, on whom the pale moon gleams, yet we are the movers and the shakers of the world, forever it seems. With wonderful deathless ditties, we build up the world's great cities, and out of a fabulous story, we fashion an empire's glory. One man with a dream at pleasure shall go forth and conquer a crown. And 3 with the new song's measure can trample a kingdom down. We, in the lion ages, in the very past of the earth, built Nineveh with our sign and Babel itself in our mirth, and overthrew them with prophesying to the old of the new world's worth. For each age is a dream that is dying or one that is coming to birth. Thank you.
Hello, I'm KIANA HAYNES, and I'll be performing Then and Now by Tom Clark. Then, it was always for now. Later for later. Then, years of now passed, and it grew. Later, later. Trapped in the shrinking chocolate box, the confused sardine wasn't happy. It leapt, banged its head again. And afterwards, they said, "Shall we repeat the experiment?" And it said, "Later for that." Thank you.
My name is Jaden Berry, and I will be reciting Grief by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. I tell you, hopeless grief is passionless. That only men, incredulous of despair, half-taught in anguish through the midnight air, beat upwards to God's throne in loud excess of shrieking and reproach. Full desertness, in souls as countries, lie a silent bear beneath under the blanching, vertical eye glare of the absolute heavens. Deep-hearted man, express grief for thy dead in silence, like to death. Most like a monumental statue, set in everlasting watch and silent woe, until itself crumbles to the dust beneath. Touch it. The marble eyelids are not wet. If it could weep, it could arise and go.
Hi, my name is McKinnli Jackson, and I will be reciting a poem by Dorothy Parker called Love Song.
The baby license.
My own dear love, he is strong and bold, and he cares not what comes after. His words ring sweet as a chime of gold, and his eyes are lit with laughter. He is jubilant as a flag unfurled. Oh, a girl, she'd not forget him. My own dear love, he is all my world. And I wish I never met him. My love, he's mad, and my love, he's fleet. And a wild young wood thing bore him. The ways are fair to his roaming feet, and the skies are sunlit for him. As sharply sweet to my heart he seems as the fragrance of acacia. My own dear love, he is all my dreams. And I wish he were in Asia. My love runs by like a day in June, and he makes no friends of sorrow. He'll tread his galloping rigadoon in the pathway of the morrows. He'll live his days where the sunbeam starts, nor could storm or wind uproot him. my own dear love. He is all my heart, and I wish someone would shoot him. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Haley Brooks, and today I'll be reciting Moon by Kathleen Jamie. Last night, when the moon slipped into my attic room as an oblong of light, I'd sensed she'd come to commiserate. It was August. She traveled with a small valise of darkness, and the first few stars returning to the northern sky. And my room, it seemed, had missed her. She pretended an interest in the bookcase while other objects stirred, as in a rock pool. With unexpected light, strings of beads in their green bowl gleamed, the paper-crowded desk, the books, too, appeared inclined to open and confess. Being sure the moon harbored some intention, I waited, watched for an age, her cool gaze shift. First, toward a flower sketch, pinned on the far wall, then glide down to recline along the pine wood floor before I'd had enough. Moon, I'd said. We're both scarred now. Are they quite beyond you, the simple words of love? Say them. You are not my mother. With my mother, I waited unto death. Thank you.
I'm Lily Phillips, and I will be reciting Under the Vulture Tree by David Bottoms. We've all seen them, circling pastures, have looked up from the mouth of a barn, a pine clearing, the fences of our own backyards, and have stood, amazed by the one slow wing beat, the endless dihedral drift. But I had never seen so many, so close. Hundreds. Every limb of the dead oak feathered black. And I cut the engine, let the river grab the John boat and pull it toward the tree. Its black leaves shined, its pink fruit blossomed red, ugly as a human heart. And as I passed under their dream, I saw for the first time its soft countenance. The raw, fleshy jowls, wrinkled and generous like the faces of the very old, who've grown to empathize with everything. And I drifted away from them, slow on the pull of the river, reluctant, looking back at their roost. I called them what I'd never called them, what they are. Those dwarfed, transfiguring angels who flock to the side of the poisoned fox, the mud turtle crushed on the shoulder of the road, who pray over the leaf graves of the anonymous lost, with mercy enough to consume us all and give us wings.
Hello, my name is Tyra J. Matthews, and I will be reciting Waving Goodbye by Gerald Stern. I wonder what it'd be like, before we had voices, and before we had bare fingers, and before we had minds to move us through our actions, and tears to help us over our feelings. So I drove my daughter through the snow to meet her friends, and filled her car with suitcases and hugged her as an animal would, pressing my forehead against her, walking in circles, moaning, touching her cheek, and turned my head after them as an animal would, watching helplessly as they drove over the ruts, her smile, and her small hand just visible over the giant pillows and curtain hangers as they turned into the empty highway.
My name is Jonah Windel. I will be reciting And If I Did What Then by George Gascoigne. And if I did, what then? Are you aggrieved therefore? The sea hath fish for every man, and what? Would you have more? Thus did my mistress once amaze my mind with doubt, and pop the question for the nonce to beat my brains about. Whereto I thus replied, each fisherman can wish that all the seas at every tide were his alone to fish. And so did I, in vain, but since it may not be, let such fish there as find the gain, and leave the loss for me. And with such luck and loss, I will content myself, till tides of turning time may toss such fishers on the shelf. And when they stick on sands, that every man may see, then will I laugh and clap my hands as they do now at me. Thank you.
My name is Daevion Jones, and I give to you Truth by Gwendolyn Brooks. And if sun comes, how shall we greet him? Shall we not dread him? Shall we not fear him after so lengthy a session with shade? Though we have wept for him, though we have prayed all through the night years, what if we wake one shimmering morning to hear the fierce hammering of his firm knuckles hard on the door? Come on, man. Shall we not shudder? Shall we not flee into the shelter, the dear, thick shelter of the familiar, propitious haze? Sweet is it? Sweet is it to sleep in the coolness of snug unawareness. The dark hangs heavily over the eyes.
My name is Lia Lawson, and I will be reciting The Day by Jeffrey Brock. It hangs on its stem, like a plum at the edge of a darkening thicket. It's swelling and blushing and ripe, and I reach out a hand to pick it. But flesh moves slow through time, and evening comes on fast. And just when I think my fingers might seize that sweetness at last, the gentlest of breezes rises, and the plum lets go of the stem. And now it's my fingers ripening, and evening that's reaching for them.
Hello, I am Kennedy Carr, and I will be reciting The Bear by Hayden Carroll. Like all his people, he felt at home in the forest. The silence beneath the trees, the dimness there, the distant high rustling of foliage, the clumps of fern like little green fountains, patches of sunlight, patches of moss and lichen, the occasional undergrowth of hazel and holly. Was he aware of all this? On the contrary, his unawareness was a kind of gratification, a sense of comfort and repose, and the strain of running day after day. He had been aware of the prairies.
He had known he hated the skies so vast. The wind in the grasses, the darkness,
And the brightness
and the brightness
that hurt his eyes.
that hurt his eyes. He saw 3 ravens rise up on their awkward wings from the forest floor, perhaps 75 ells ahead of him, and he said, 3 ravens, may I not forget. He said the same words he had memorized over and over again. At last, he came to his people in the darkness. He smiled and said his words. He looked into their eyes in the firelight. He cried when they cried. He walked to his spot and lay, flinching on the ground as they began to kill him with stones and clubs.
Hannah Bolero.
Hello, my name is Hannah Bolero, and today I'll be reciting Spanglish by Tato Rivera. Pues estoy criando Spanglish. Bicultural systems, scientific lexicographical, intertextual integrations, 2 expressions, existentially wired, 2 dominant languages, continentally abrazándose, en colloquial combate, en las acercas del suelo, Imperio Spanglish emerges, control pandelaje sobre territorio bilingual, las novelas mexicanas, mixing with radio rock and roll, condimented cocina lorel, immigrant, migrant, nasal mispronouncements, baraja chismeteo social club, hip-hop, Greta Street salsa, corner soul, and mixturando, Spanish pop farandula, standard English classrooms with computer technicalities. Spanglish is literally perfect. Spanglish is ethnically snobbish. Spanglish is cara holy inteligencia. Which U.S. slang do you speak?
Hello, my name is SWANIGAN, and I will be reciting to you The Last Laugh by Wilfred Owen. Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm hit, he said, and died. Whether he vainly cursed or prayed indeed, the bullets chirped in vain, vain, vain. Machine guns chuckled, tut-tut, and the big gun wafted. Another sided, oh, mother, dad, then smiled at nothing childlike being dead, and the lofty sharp no cloud leisurely gestured fool. And Splinter spat and tittered. My love, one mom, love languid seemed his mood till slowly lowered, his whole face kissed the mud, and the bayonet's long teeth grinned, rambles of shells hooted and groaned, and the gas hissed.
Hello, my name is McKinnli. I'm going to be reciting the poem Fire and Ice by Robert Frost. Here we go. Some say the world would be in fire, some say in ice. But when I tasted of desire, I hold those who faded fire. But if it had to perish twice, I know enough hate to say that destruction, ice, is also great and would suffice.
Hello, my name is DAPHNE and I will be performing for you Requiem by Camille T. Dunkey. sing the mass, light upon me washing words, now that I am gone. The sky was a hot blue sheet, the summer breeze fanned out and over the town. I could have lived forever under that sky. Forgetting where I was, I looked left, not right, crossed into a street, and stepped in front of the bus. That ended me. Will you believe me when I tell you it was beautiful? My left leg turned to uselessness, my right shoe flung some distance down the road. Will you believe me when I tell you I had never been so in love with anyone as I was then with everyone I saw? The way an age-worn man held his wife's shaking arm, supporting the weight that seemed to sing from the heart she clutched, knowing her eyes embraced the pile that was me. He guided her sacked body through the crowd. And the way one woman began to fast the moment she looked under her wheel. I saw her swear off decadence. I saw her start to pray. You see, I was so beautiful, the woman sent to clean the street used words like police tape to keep back a young boy seconds before he rounded the grisly bumper. The woman who cordoned the area feared my memory would fly him through the world on pinions of passion. Much as later, the sight of my awful beauty pulled her down to tears when she pooled my blood with water and swiftly washed my stains away.
Hi there, my name is Stephanie Laszlo, and today I'll be performing for you Since There Is No Escape by Sarah Teasdale. Since there is no escape, since at the end my body will be utterly destroyed, this hand I love as I have loved a friend, this body I tended and wept with and enjoyed, since there is no escape, even for me, who love life with a love too sharp to bear, the scent of orchards in the rain, the sea in hours alone too still and sure for prayer. Since darkness waits for me, then all the more let me go down as waves sweep to the shore in pride, and let me sing with my last breath. Life is my lover. I shall leave the dead, if there is any way to baffle death.
Hello again, I'm Paige Mitchell, and this is To the Notebook Kid by Eve L. Ewing. Yo, chocolate milk for breakfast, kid. One leg of your sweatpants rolled up, scrounging at the bottom of your mama's purse for a bus fare and gum. Pen broken, you got ink on your thumb, kid. What's good? Hot on the cement, kid. White Castle, kid. Tongue stained purple, cussing on the court until your brother shows up. With the half a candy bar, got that good B in science. You earned it, kid. Etch your name in a tree. Hug your granny on her birthday. Think of Alaska when they shoot it. Curled up dreams of salmon, safety, tundra. The furthest away place you ever read about in a book. Polar bears, your new chess partners, pickaxe in the ice, northern lights, kid. Keep your notebook where your cousins won't find it. Leave it on my desk if you want. Shuffle underneath carving paper and a stamp that screams late. Yellow and red to draw the eye from the ocean. You keep hitting it a jacked up 5-star. Your mama thought there was a secret in there. Thought they would laugh, but that ain't it. It's that flows and flows and flows and lines like those rip-roaring bits. You got bars until the end of time. You can rap like helium. About to spring it all down to you. None left in the sun. Fearless. while the last light pushes from your belly, calming your ribs. He's laughing to the microphone. Now who's ready for that? Thank you.
Hello again, I'm KIANA, and today I'm going to be performing Thou Art My Lute by Paul Laurence Dunbar. Thou art my lute, by thee I sing, my being is attuned to thee. Thou settest all my words a-wing, meltest me into melody. Thou art my life, by thee I live. From thee proceed the joys I know. Sweetheart, thy hand has power to give the mead of life, cup of woe. Thou art my love, by thee I lead. My soul, the path of light along. From veil to veil, from mead to mead, and home it in the hills of song. My song, my soul, my life, my all. Why need I pray or make my plea, since my petition cannot fall? For I already won with thee. Thank you.
I'm Jaden Berry, and this is The Lamb by Linda Gray. It was a picture I had after the war. A bombed English church. I was too young to know the word English or war, but I knew the picture. The ruined city still seemed noble. The cathedral with its roof blown off was not less godly. The church was the same, plus rain and sky. Birds flew in and out of the holes God's fist made in the walls. All our desire for love or children was treated like rags by the enemy. I knew so much and sang anyway, like a bird who will sing until it is brought down. When they take away the trees, the child picks up a stick and says, "This is a tree. This the house and the family," as we might. Through a door of what had been a house walked a single lamb, tilting its head, curious, unafraid, hungry.
Okay. Hi, I'm McKinnli Jackson, and I will be reciting to you She Walks in Beauty by Lord Byron. She walks in beauty like the night of cloudless climes and starry skies, and all that's best of dark and bright. Meets in her aspects and her eyes, thus mellow to that tender light, which heaven to gaudy day denies. One shade the more, one ray the less, had half impaired the nameless grace, which waves in every raven's tress, or soft, light and soul face, where thoughts serenely sweet express how pure, how dear their dwelling place. And on that cheek and o'er that brow, so soft, so calm, yet eloquent, the smiles that win, the tints that glow, but tell of days and goodness spent, a mind at peace with all below, a heart whose love is innocent. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Hannah Brooks, and today I'll be reciting Friendship After Love by Ella Wilcox.
After the fierce midsummer, all ablaze, has burned itself to ashes and expires, and the intensity of its own fires. There come the mellow, mild St. Martin days, crowned with a calmer peace, but sad with haze. So after love has led us till he tires of his own throes and torments and desires, comes soft-eyed friendship with a restful gaze. He beckons us to follow, and across cool, verdant fields we wander, breathing care. Is it a touch of frost lies in the air? Why are we haunted with a sense of loss? We do not wish the pain back, or the heat. And yet these days are incomplete. Thank you.
I'm Lily Phillips, and I will be reciting on Monsieur's Departure by Queen Elizabeth I. I grieve, yet dare not show my discontent. I love, and yet am forced to seem to hate. I do, yet dare not say I ever meant. I seem stark mute, but inwardly do prate. I am, and not, I freeze, and yet am burned. Since from myself, another self I turned. My care is like my shadow in the sun. It follows me flying, flies when I pursue it. It stands and lies by me, doth what I have done. His too familiar care doth make me rue it. No means I find to rid him from my breast, till by the end of things it be suppressed. Some gentler passions slide into my mind, for I am soft and made of melting snow. Or be more cruel, love, and be so kind. Let me or float or sink, be high or low, or let me live with some more sweet content, or die, and so forget what love e'er meant. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tyra J. Matthews, and I will be reciting The Clouded Morning by Jones Berry. The morning comes, and thickening clouds prevail, hanging like curtains, all the horizon round. Or overhead in heavy stillness sails. It seems like day. In still of day, it seems like night.
Scarce by the city's din.
Scarce by the city's din, the air is stirred. And dull and deadened comes with its every sound. Thank you.
My name is Jonah Windel, and I will be reciting A Kind of Meadow by Phillips. Shore, by trees at its far ending, as is the way in moral tales, whether trees as trees actually, for their shadow and what inside of it hides, threatens, calls to, or as ever wavering conscience, cloaked now and called chorus. Or between these, whatever falls upon the rippling and measurable, but none to measure it, thin fabric of this stands for a kind of meadow and then trees, many assembled, a wood therefore. Through the wood, the worn path, emblematic of much trespass. Halt! Who goes there? A kind of meadow where it ends begin trees, from whose twinning of late light and the already underway darkness, you were expecting, perhaps, the stag to step forward, to make of its 12-pointed antlers the branching foreground to a backdrop all branches. Or you wanted the usual bird to break cover at that angle, at which wings catch entirely what light's left. So for once, the bird isn't miracle at all, but the simplicity of patience and a good hand assembling. First, the thin bones. Now, in careful rows, the feathers, like fretwork. Now the brush, for the laying on of sheen. As is always the way, you tell yourself, in poems. Yes, always, until you have gone there and gone there into the field, vowing only until there's nothing more I want. Thinking it, wrongly, a thing attainable, any real end to wanting, and that it is close, and that it is likely, how will you not this time catch hold of it? Flashing, flesh at once lit and lightless. A way out, the one dappled way back.
I'm Daevion Jones, and this is Songs for the People by Frances Ellen Watkins Harper. Let me make the songs for the people, songs for the old and young, songs to stir like a battle cry wherever they are sung. Not for the clashing of sabers, for carnage nor for strife, but songs to thrill the hearts of men with more abundant life. Let me make the songs for the weary amid life's fever and fret, till hearts shall relax their tension and careworn brows forget. Let me sing for little children before their footsteps stray, sweet anthems of love and duty to float o'er life's highway. I will sing for the poor and aged when shadows dim their sight, of the bright and restful mansions where there shall be no night. Our world so worn and weary needs music pure and strong to hush the jangle and discords of sorrow, pain, and wrong. Music to soothe all its sorrow till worn crime shall cease and the hearts of men grown tender girdle the world with peace.
My name is Lia Lawson, and I will be reciting The Light of Stars by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. The night is come, but not too soon, and sinking silently, all silently, the little moon drops down behind the sky. There is no light in earth or heaven but the cold light of stars, and the first watch of night is given to the red planet Mars. Is it the tender star of love, the star of love and dreams? Oh no, from that blue tint above a hero's armor gleams. And earnest thoughts within me rise when I behold afar, suspended in the evening skies, the shield of that red star. O star of strength, I see thee stand and smile upon my pain. Thou beckonest with thy mailed hand, and I am strong again. Within my breast there is no light but the cold light of stars. I give the first watch of the night to the red planet Mars. The star of the unconquered will, he rises in my breast, serene and resolute, and still, and calm, and self-possessed. And thou too, whosoe'er thou art, that readest this brief song, as one by one thy hopes depart, be resolute and calm. Oh, fear not in a world like this, and thou shalt know ere long. Know how sublime a thing it is to suffer and be strong.
I want to thank everybody, all of our competitors this year. It's been a tremendous Poetry Out Loud, let me tell you. The amount of talent here, those of you who are in 9th, 10th, 11th, you need to come back, okay? Y'all are seasoned, grizzled veterans. Y'all have been through it. You need to be back here. You need to be bringing more. So that's my message to you. Okay. Without further ado, I'm going to announce our honorable mentions first, in no particular order. Honorable mention, and I'm going to ask you to come. I'm going to ask you to come up here and stand on stage with me and Chris, and stay, because then we're going to start doing some pictures after it's all over. Okay? Just got to get those instructions out there. Honorable mention, Lia Lawson.
Girl, you made it!
Stay right here with us. Honorable mention, McKinnli Jackson. Honorable mention, Jonah Windel. Arkansas State runner-up, and this is the person who will be the, what's the word? Alternate. Pardon me. This is the alternate in case the state champion cannot make it to the finals in D.C. Arkansas State runner-up, Lily Phillips. Arkansas State champion for Poetry Out Loud 2019, Daevion Jones. I want to thank again everybody. You all are fantastic. I stood outside with you. I listened to you practice. I talked to your parents. I've talked to your teachers. I'm not that short. This is exciting. This is probably the biggest Poetry Out Loud that we have had. It may be ever. It's the most attended. You all have real excitement here, and you all have shown an ability that I don't think that. I think that the vibe of this whole Poetry Out Loud this year has been so exciting. And next year we're going to have more competitors, and I want you all to come back, and I want you all to keep on reading poetry. Because poetry, life without poetry is not as bright a place. And I know that, sometimes we come to it late. Sometimes if you're like me, you come to it when you're about 20, but you find that it gives voice to your emotions. It brings a light to your life, and you all have brought a light to me, to my Saturday, just by sitting here and then being able to listen to you. I'm very proud of you all. I'm very proud. I thank you for your schools, your teachers, your parents for being here, for coaching you, and I want you back next year, okay? Good? Okay? Will you do that for me?
Beautiful bird, trust yourself, love your wings. The hurt's gonna fade away someday. So keep on, keep on. Keep on, keep on. Keep on, keep on.